What's up, guys? Jasper Chase here with another moto vlog. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are hitting the Dragon's Tail, so stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. So before I head out, I can't really talk on the Dragon, so just wanted to give you guys a little bit of history behind the Dragon's Tail. It's 318 curves and 11 miles, designated US 129. The road is bordered by the Great Smoky Mountains and the Cherokee National Forest. With no intersecting roads or driveways to hamper your travel, it's considered the destination for thousands of motorcycle and sports car fans throughout the spring. Now, right now it's wintertime, so it's going to be, well, not crowded, which is going to be great. I won't get stuck behind cars or slow motorcycles. The Tail of the Dragon, also known as Deals Gap or just the Dragon, is considered by many as one of the world's best motorcycling and sports car roads. Anyone looking for an exciting piece of asphalt will enjoy the stretch of US 129 at the Tennessee-North Carolina state line. Now, the Dragon has a notorious past. Much of the route was originally just an animal track down by large herds of buffalo and then used by Native American Cherokee Indians for centuries. The first white men to use the trail were hunters and trappers moving into dangerous territory in the early 1700s. Now, in 1756, British soldiers struggled through the mountain gaps to establish Fort Loudon. At some point, there was a small outpost located near the North Carolina-Tennessee state line. The Deal family owned and operated it, hence the map designation of Deals Gap. The family later moved west to a more hospitable location. Now, in the early 1800s, the path became a crude roadway used to access the extremely remote settlement of Cades Cove via the Parsons Branch Road. But note that the Parsons Branch Road is one way out of Cades Cove to the Dragon. This route suffered severe damage in the floods of 2002 and was closed several years for repairs. There were many conflicts between the Cherokee and white settlers who infringed upon their world. Both sides took lives in needless disputes and petty quarrels. This undecided warfare resulted in one of the saddest events in our early American history, the Trail of Tears. Many Native Americans refused to assemble and leave the only land they had ever known. The Dragon was one of the most remote paths they used to evade the army sent to capture them. The Civil War brought more bloodshed to the Dragon and surrounding areas. There is a gravesite located at the 6.5-mile mark of the Dragon, giving testimony to the times. It's where Boss Shaw was buried after being killed by the Confederate as he was transported to prison in Nashville. There are likely many more buried in the nearby mountains in unmarked graves. Gangs such as the Kirkland Bushwhackers often attacked northern patrols and anyone else who happened their way. They killed 2 of Boss Shaw's sons nearby. The forested mountains offering the perfect hiding place to escape detection, and the law was reluctant to venture after them. As more settlers moved into the area, landowners began collecting tolls for the use of the road. Toll Booth Corner, located at the 3.5-mile mark, was a place to pay for the right to cross private property. There were corrals to keep in livestock in transit and meager sleeping quarters for guests to spend the night. Some who tried to cross without paying the toll were caught and supposedly hanged on the spot. Circa 1913, a town was actually born on the Dragon. It's called Calderwood. Formerly the Howard Farm property, it was created as living quarters for employees constructing the Chio Dam in 1917. Calderwood Dam in 1930, and those workers who later maintained the entire system. A railway ran from Knoxville through Calderwood and followed the Little Tennessee River all the way to Topeka in North Carolina. Equipment, supplies, and workers were transported on this line. Calderwood was used by Alco Aluminum, aka Topaco Inc., as a corporate retreat for their executives. There was even a golf course accessed by ferry across the Little Tennessee River. Now, today's Topaco Lodge was also built by the Alco for their executives. The entire dam and reservoir system provided electric power to Alco's large aluminum processing plant north of Maryville, Tennessee. The Dragon in the late 1920s was designated as TN-72 on the Tennessee side and NC-288 on the North Carolina side. The completion of the bridge near Topeka in 1931 allowed connection to North Carolina 108 to North Carolina 288. In 1934, North Carolina 108 and Tennessee 72 was renumbered as US 129 and was most likely paved for the first time around that date. The new road was only slightly traveled for decades, primarily by locals, hunters, and lost tourists. The small motel and diner went through many different owners from the 50s to the 90s. It was owned by the Moody's, the Craftons, and was known after that as Max Motel, later the Crossroads of Time. Today, it's the Deals Gap Motorcycle Resort. In 1992, Doug Snavely, hearing about a great ride in the Smokies, came up from Road Atlanta to ride US 129 for himself. The ride proved even more exciting than he had ever imagined. He met Pete, the owner of the Crossroads of Time, a small cafe motel located at the junction of US 129 and North Carolina 28. At that time, Pete catered to fishermen, hunters, and a few lost vacationers. Doug sold Pete on promoting the road to motorcyclists and got a job as the manager of the Crossroads. Snavely began to publish the monthly Deals Gap Hot Lap newsletter on September 1st, 1992. He also got the road mentioned in Rider magazine. Snavely was not welcomed by everyone. He received many threats and was even shot at once as he rode down one of the local roads. Snavely also created the Deals Gap Riding Society. There were some 350 members from all over the United States. The organization more or less folded when Snavely left the Crossroads of Time after a few years. He lived in Knoxville and later moved to Virginia, and he occasionally returns to the Gap. In the next few years, motorcycle riding increased dramatically at the Dragon, each year since the number of motorcycles and sports cars had seemingly doubled. Today, riders and drivers from across the U.S., Canada, and many foreign countries come to test their riding skills on the Dragon. There's always a show on the weekends from April through October. The Dragon, as many have found, is truly a unique road. In 14 miles, there are only two intersections, North Carolina 28 to Fontana Dam and the lightly traveled gravel road at Parsons Branch. There are no buildings other than the Tail of Dragon T-shirt shack and Deals Gap Motorcycle Resort. There are 318 curves in 11 miles located on the Tennessee side. Most of the time, there is very little traffic, and the vehicles that do use this road are primarily motorcycle riders and sports car drivers looking for the thrill of their lives. It's remote, but very little evidence of human population within 20 miles in any direction. Most of the roadway is bounded by United States Forest Services, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and forested land owned by the Alco Aluminum Company. Deals Gap, the name that many riders know the Dragon by, is actually the gap in the mountains that the road follows. Deals Gap, located at the North Carolina and Tennessee state line, is the highest point on the Dragon at 1,962 feet above sea level. It was likely named for one of the early families who settled here. The road is still desolated today and can be a real adventure in the winter months. They've had to deal with bears, wild boars, deer, and turkey in the road, trees down, snow and ice storms, debris, and tractor trailers taking up both lanes in the curves. It's not a road for the squeamish, but if you're looking for a little excitement, don't miss this one. The Tail of the Dragon gained popularity after the website went online in 2000. This site, run by Ron and Nancy Johnson of Robbinsville, offers t-shirts, souvenirs, photos, maps, and advice on how to survive the Dragon. To those coming from the North Carolina side, the Dragon begins at Fugitive Bridge with a view of the Chiowa Dam, where actually Harrison Ford jumped in the movie, The Fugitive. It ends 14 miles across the mountain at Topcat Creek Bridge in Tennessee. From Fugitive Dam, climbs through the slide, a steep series of S-curves where one would not want to meet one of the tractor trailers that comes this way. The road then levels and straightens until a series of curves approaching the Crossroads of Time, one of the main hangouts for visitors. Next comes Deals Gap and the Tennessee state line for the next 11 miles. Most people just remember curve after curve after curve and surviving the run of their lives. In addition to the 1993 movie The Fugitive, 3 other movies have been filmed along this road. The first feature film made on US 129 was Thunder Road. This 1958 Robert Mitchum film about backwoods moonshining had scenes at the Powerline easement at about the 4.5-mile mark on the Dragon map. Part of the 1971 classic movie Two-Lane Blacktop was filmed on the Dragon. There are scenes of the state line, some of the curves, the old Esso gas station, Craftsman's Motel and Cafe, and the dam. Part of In Dreams in 1998 with Annette Bening was filmed on Moonshine 28, Topoko Dam, and Caldwood Dam. The tale of the Dragon may have checkered history, but today is becoming the destination for hundreds and thousands of riders, drivers, and even bicyclists looking to tame the beast.